Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Bronzy. I'm back with another movie review. Today I'm going to be doing Killers of the Flower Moon, Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro, and Leonardo DiCaprio's most recent collaboration. Obviously, when you get these three guys in a room together, some type of magic is going to spark, and that's exactly what happened this time around as well with Killers of the Flower Moon. Um, I haven't done many movie reviews this last couple months. Last one I did, I think, was Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part One or whatever. I just haven't really felt like doing reviews. I've seen quite a few movies over the last few months. There just hasn't really been much that released to theaters that I feel like I need to talk about all that much. We did see Elemental on Disney Plus. That was okay. Talk to Me. That was good. We haven't really gone to the theater all that much these last couple months, though. There just hasn't really been much, like I said, especially with the writer strike that just recently ended, and then the actor strike going on. We're not going to have many movies coming out that I really want to review anyway. But this was definitely one that I really wanted to get my claws into and kind of, sink in and, just kind of talk about a little bit because it is a very important film history wise, and it is very impactful, in my opinion, to film. Um, so before I jump into it, I just wanted to say thank you guys for watching. And excuse my hairdo right now. It's fucking going crazy. I got bedhead. I just woke up. I could have showered and kind of gotten my life together, but I'm a lazy piece of shit and just feel like it, So it's fresh on my mind though, and I wanted to talk about this movie just a little bit. I did want to say before we start, if there's anything that I say that might be a spoiler, I apologize. It's hard not to spoil movies like this in a way because it's based on history. So, like before I even like when I first heard about the movie, I looked into it a little bit and I kind of got all the spoilers on how it all ends up because obviously this happened in early 1900s. So, um just forewarning, if I spoil anything, I apologize for that, but to be completely honest, you could literally like type in Osage or you could type in Killers of the Flower Moon and it'll give you a brief synopsis about what happened to the main characters of this movie. Um, with that being said, I'll try not to spoil it too much. Try to edit around all that. Um, but just to dive into it, just to start it all off, Killers of the Flower Moon is a historic pick about a tribe of Native Americans called the Osage. These are people that I don't know exactly where they originated from, but the movie takes place in Oklahoma, with a lot of mentions of the states around it. But mostly this movie takes place in Oklahoma, and right from the get go, it starts with pretty much showing us that the Osage people are filthy fucking rich. Like they are filthy fucking rich. So what happened is they got lucky. They say it's luck. I'm not too sure how oil in the ground works, but obviously it's very valuable. So right in the beginning of the movie, pretty much we're watching some Osage people um, beating on some drums, dancing and everything, and then suddenly we see just an eruption of oil. It's fucking spraying everywhere. It's literally like my asshole after a fucking like fish dinner. It's a fucking it's just spraying oil out of the ground all over the place. This is early 1900s, so early 20th century, and this is around a time when the government didn't touch every single patch of oil. They didn't have the rights to touch every patch of oil in the United States at this time. And technically, even today, I believe these people still own their part of this land. So the film is pretty much about this Osage tribe getting rich. They get rich off of just all of the oil on the land. They technically own all of the land. And the film, it's really fucked up, but it's about Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro pretty much scheming their way through um, killing the bloodlines of these people to take the money from them. Pretty much, that's what this movie's about. The majority of this movie is greed, stupidity, and pure arrogance. Like it really is, and you can put any of those in whatever order you want. Um, so the movie starts out literally telling the audience, like the Osage people. I don't know if it's like this anymore. I should probably do a little more history on, or a little bit more looking into on this. But from what we know, the Osage people were the richest people per capita, um, pretty much ever at that time. They were getting residuals and being paid from the fact that they owned the land that the oil was bursting out of. So they were taking advantage of that and actually farming the oil. Unfortunately, the white people that were living around them wanted that money, and that's pretty much what this movie's about. This movie is about greedy people that were doing some pretty terrible fucking things to take this money from these people, that, and this money is rightfully theirs. You know, they were born here first. This is their land. It's not their fault that the oil just bursted out of the ground. You know what I mean? So, obviously, there's going to be some people that didn't like it that much, and that is what the film's about. We literally start the movie off with Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Ernest. I forget what his last name is. His name's Ernest, so he's a piece of shit. Uh, Pretty much right away starts with him getting off a train. He just got out of the army. I believe this takes place right after World War One. Don't quote me on that, but I know it's past the Civil War. Like I said, it's in the early 1900s, so I'm assuming it's around when World War One was kind of getting going and finishing up around that time. Um, anyway, though, he shows up back home. His uncle is Robert De Niro, who is a they call him Kane, but he's pretty much just like this. He owns a cattle farm, and he's very rich. He's pretty well known in the area as well. You know, he's very good to the people. He even mentions that he brought hospitals to their town. He brought grocery stores to their towns, all that shit. So he's a very productive human being in the Osage people's lives. Um, Unfortunately, he's a schemer though. From the second we see Robert De Niro, he's already like caressing the sides of his chair, talking about, you know, getting in deep with the Osage people so they can find a way to take whatever money that they have. And Leonardo DiCaprio is pretty much in no position to say no. He needs somewhere to live. It's his uncle, and he pretty much is his uncle's henchman. That's pretty much what he is. Throughout the film, Leonardo DiCaprio's character Ernest ends up falling in love with one of the Osage women. Her name was Molly. She's played by Lily Gladstone. And I got to say right now, before I say anything else about Lily Gladstone, she was the big performance in this movie. She was absolutely fantastic. Every scene that she's in, I felt like she dominated it. And I'm not too sure if that was, I'm sure it was intentional for her to just be a good actor, but the way she'd be in a lot of scenes with Leonardo DiCaprio, and everybody knows Leonardo DiCaprio is a fantastic actor. You know, he's everybody's top dog. I felt like even he was kind of overshadowed by her performance, and that's absolutely okay. Everything about that is okay. Lily Gladstone was my favorite part of this movie. I will say that right now. She was my favorite part of this movie. Um, her performance was just very intense, and I could feel it. There were moments when I felt like I didn't know what she was thinking, and I love that. I love that I didn't like exactly know what she was gonna do or what she was thinking about when she was, you know, in these heated scenes with Leonardo DiCaprio. With that being said, though, Leo and Robert De Niro were both really good as well. Though I don't think both of those characters, I don't think their performances are gonna like, you know, snag them an Oscar nomination or anything like that. I think Lily Gladstone's going to be the Oscar nominee in this film. I also think that the movie itself, before I dive any deeper into like story stuff, I think the movie is really good. It's like really, really good. Um, I don't know how much of it was adapted like properly or improperly from the real story. There was some dramatization, but from what I can tell, from what I've read, pretty much everything that's in the movie is pretty accurate to what happened in real life, give or take. You know, a couple like maybe a couple like lines weren't correct or something like that. We don't know for sure, but historically, a lot of this shit happened, and it is a very, very, very sad and grisly story. So Leonardo DiCaprio's character ends up getting involved and getting married to Lily Gladstone's character. So he becomes involved in the family, the Osage family, the bloodline, pretty much. And you know, I'm not gonna say whether or not like it was intentional for him to fall in love with her, because he seemed to really, really care about her. She definitely loved him. But the goal for Leonardo DiCaprio's character and Robert De Niro's character was to slowly kill off this woman's family, and pretty much funnel the money, that the money from, you know, I don't remember exactly what it's called, but when a family member dies and then the money goes to the next of kin, they were killing off the next of kins, and you know, pretty much trying to breed with the Osage people so they could have um, so they could pretty much kill off their family. Like there were people killing off their own wives so they could take the money and pretty much, you know, scam their way into it. And there's so many like goofy moments in this movie where like Jesus Christ, these people are so fucking blatantly stupid. But at the time, there was no FBI. There was no way to investigate murders the way they should. I mean, they could have investigated the murders because these murders were fucking grisly. These dudes were killing pregnant women. They were killing old people. They were killing kids. They were killing anybody they could to get this money off of these people. And it is fucked up. It is super, super fucked up. But it is goofy at the same time because these people blatantly, like the Osage people, there are moments when they even know that the white man is trying to steal their money, but they like don't really have a choice in who they marry really because there's not a lot of other Osage people to marry. And I think it's also, you know, they don't really go into it too much, but I think a lot of the Osage women wanted to marry white men because they wanted to have I think they wanted to have some type of like culture, you know, like mixture, like maybe like just having, oh, my kids are American. You know what I mean? It's nice to, it was at that time, I'm sure it was nice to have. I'm sure even now it's probably nice to have, you know, United States is a very, very wealthy place. It's very a land of opportunity type of place. And I think that was probably the goal with a lot of these Osage people back in the day. There weren't a lot of other Osage people to really mate with. And if they did, they were kind of looked at as lesser people because they were Indians. Jesus, my cats are getting mad at each other. Either way, so the movie is literally about gold digging. It's literally these people are stealing from these other people by pretty much way of murder in every single way. And it is gruesome, man. Like there are some scenes in this movie that are really brutal. Like it shows people getting stabbed. It shows people getting shot right through the fucking head. It's pretty tough. I don't want to spoil too much. But it is very rough to watch sometimes. Like I said, though, some of it has like goofy humor. Like there's moments where the FBI does get involved. This is one of the first cases where the FBI actually were funded and given permission to go and investigate. And it was one of the big moments in the FBI's history. It was one of the big first cases that got them on the map pretty much. So the FBI does end up getting involved. Jesse Plemons, if you guys know him, he's fantastic in this movie. He's one of the FBI agents, one of the lead agents, and he's really, really good in this movie. He's only in it for maybe the last quarter of it. And speaking of last quarter, this movie's 3.5 hours long. It's 3 hours and 40 minutes long, I think. It is a long one to sit through, but it is totally worth it. It's absolutely worth it. It's got so many good moments, a lot of good acting involved here. You could tell Martin Scorsese kind of really cared about this. It was a very good timepiece for him. You could tell it was, this isn't I wouldn't say this is on par with Goodfellas or anything like that. It's a very different story. But the passion, I can feel the passion. You can tell he, reading into it a little bit more, he's been working on this for a long time, and he really, really wanted to get the story of the Osage people out there because it's a story that was forgotten in time. It was just forgotten. And whether that's because these people are minorities or just because it was a white crime thing, it was forgotten. And that's what's fucked up about the whole thing. And it's cool because there's moments in the movie where Robert De Niro's character, this scheming son of a bitch, he's like, people are going to forget about this. It doesn't matter what people think about all this because it's just going to be another crime. It's just going to be another tragedy pretty much. And that's exactly what it was. For about 100 years, people didn't even care about what happened to the Osage people. And then suddenly the book was made and now people know about it. And that's good. That's really good. It's very interesting stuff though, man. It's very deep and it's very interesting to read about because this is a really crazy time in history where not a lot of shit was getting investigated. Not a lot of murders were being looked into. The government was kind of just pretending it wasn't happening. The people of the city were kind of just like, whatever, who cares? Stupid Indians. That's pretty much what was going on. And it's kind of sad to see, to be honest with you, because these are real people, man. This is their money. This is their home. And the movie really does dive into, the pretty much forcing of Native American people out of their own homes. That's pretty much what this movie focuses on. I read into it a little bit, and from what I could tell, originally when Martin Scorsese brought the script to Leonardo DiCaprio, and Leonardo DiCaprio does have an executive producer credit in this film as well. They brought him the script. Leonardo DiCaprio really liked it, but originally the film was going to take place from the perspective of the FBI, from what the FBI found and what the FBI knows and the investigation as a whole. Leonardo DiCaprio didn't really like the focus that much, so they rewrote it and had Leonardo DiCaprio, instead of him playing the FBI agent that Jesse Plemons plays, he ends up playing the bad guy, Ernest, the guy who marries in and helps kill off these people pretty much. So I thought that was really interesting how they kind of changed up the script a little bit, changed up the story of it a little bit to focus more on the Osage. And I do think that that probably added a good hour of the film, because the first hour of the movie is very slow and it's very deep dive into the Osage people as a whole, and it's really cool. There's a lot of really good pieces in this movie. People are driving around like these little buggies that go awooga and shit like that. So like it's very old fashioned. It's very well put together. I think the way the movie looks, just the setting and the amount of effort they put into like the clothing and all of that stuff, I think this is really good. I think they did a really, really good job at convincing people that this is that time period. I think they did it really good at focusing on the Osage people more. I think that really helped this story out a lot more to feel the impact of what happened to these people. And what happened to these people is just awful. It's just awful. I really liked the fact that we were following the bad guys the whole movie. The whole movie was following Leonardo DiCaprio and his family, just completely ruining the Osage people as a whole, just completely diving into their homes and just ruining everything that they love, pretty much killing off their people. It's just horrible. It is just horrible. But the movie itself it does so well at making you feel a certain way for these people, and you should, because it's fucked up, man. Like I said, it's a fucked up movie. It's a fucked up, like the whole premise of it is just fucked up, that this is what people did. And you know, the I don't want to spoil much, but the punishment was not enough for what they did to these people. I suggest seeing this movie 100%. I think this is a great movie. I think seeing this movie in theaters is probably a good idea. If you can see it in like a recliner and, you got like a nice heated seat or something like I did, it was a really good time. But if you're sitting in like a city, if you're sitting in like a shitty like seat at a movie theater, you're probably going to have a sore ass after this one, because it is a long ass movie, especially with previews. You're looking at like 4 hours sitting in a theater. And I think they cut this movie down too. I think it was originally going to be like 4 hours long, but they had to cut it up a little bit. But not to spoil anything and not to make this too long, not to keep just rambling on, this is a fantastic movie. I do think this movie is going to be nominated for a couple Oscars. I think best adapted film from a book, I think that's definitely an Oscar nomination we're looking at. I think best costume design is up there. I also think Lily Gladstone deserves an Oscar nod, at least for her performance in this film. She was absolutely fantastic. She captured every moment that she had on screen just perfectly. Leo and Robert De Niro were good. I don't think they were here specifically for an Oscar nod. I think this was more of like a passion timepiece for them, because they are both really good. They both share the screen quite a bit. So if you've always wanted to see these two mesh together, these are Martin Scorsese's two top guys, and they are, aside from having Joe Pesci not in the movie, like that, this is the top tier Martin Scorsese cast, pretty much. So I think if you like Martin Scorsese movies, if you like timepiece movies, if you like Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro, I think you're going to love this movie. I really do. I think you're going to really, really like this movie. Things it could have done better. Not a lot, because it did exactly, I think, what it was supposed to do. I don't think there was much missing from the movie from what I could read about it. I will say the movie was so goddamn long that there was moments where it would kind of skip time, time would go by and everything like that. Cause it does take place over like a course of like 6 or 7 years, I think. And throughout these 6 or 7 years, they are brutally murdering these people. But throughout that time, it skips, and like things will happen in between that they kind of have to let you know through dialogue. And sometimes it's really subtle. So like things will just skip by and you're like, oh wait, this guy has a kid now? Like, wait, what? You know what I mean? Like, but it's not enough to like ruin the movie or anything. It's really just like oh shit, I got to keep up with this. I got to try to pay attention and keep up. Got to keep up. So it is a long movie, and sometimes it feels a little bit like a slog, but it's not because the movie's boring. It's just because the environment, sometimes just sitting in a chair for 3 hours straight is kind of rough. But I don't think there was really anything wrong with this movie. I think it's a solid 9 out of 10. I think this is a movie that a lot of people are going to look back on in history. There's no like sex in the movie or anything, like there's none of that. It's mostly just really violent, and quite a bit of language in there as well. But I do think this is going to be a movie that I think a lot of people should see. It's very historic. It's very passion filled. There's some deep shit here, man. Like there's some really deep shit that even today, even a couple days after seeing it, it makes me just feel just makes me feel a certain way. It was really fucked up. I think everybody gave good performances. I think Lily Gladstone had the best performance. I did love the way this movie ended. I don't think a lot of people are gonna love the ending of this movie, but it ends. If you guys remember like movies like The Breakfast Club or like just those old fashioned like 90s and 2000s movies where it would end with like pretty much like showing you a picture of somebody and then having like a dialogue saying what happened to these people. It doesn't do that specifically. It does something a little different. And I don't want to spoil it, but I feel like a lot of people are going to kind of be like, that's stupid. But I enjoyed the epilogue to this film. It kind of happens abruptly, but it's very proper. We don't really see like visually what happens to the characters in this movie. We don't really visually see what comes of Ernest and his Uncle Kane. It doesn't show you, but they talk about it in like an epilogue. And the epilogue, in my opinion, was a really clever way to finish the movie. Though, like I said, some people might not like the way the movie ended. I thought it was just fine. I thought it branched away from what a normal dramatized, you know, historic pick would do. But sorry, going over 20 minutes. I'm sorry if I rambled a little bit. I'm still waking up a little bit here, but I really like this movie. Like I said, it's about a 9 out of 10 in my opinion. I think this is a movie that everybody should see, whether it's whether you care about the history of it or not. It's a very well put together picture, and I think it deserves the high price that it's getting right now. I really, really do. I think Martin Scorsese has a very, very well put together film here. I don't think, again, like I said, I'll reiterate, I don't think this movie is going to be like a crazy Oscar movie or anything. I do think it's going to get nominated for a couple things. And I think if it does get nominated, it definitely should be nominated for the costume design, the adaptation from the book and from history, and Lily Gladstone's performance. Those were the main things I loved about this movie. Again, I appreciate it. They gave like Leonardo DiCaprio fucked up teeth and everything. Like there were things about, you almost were disgusted in Leonardo DiCaprio in this movie, and that itself is like awesome. You know what I mean? Like that's fucking awesome in my opinion. So hopefully I didn't spoil too much for you guys. I didn't want to, it's a 3.5 hour movie. I didn't want to dive too deep into everything that happens. Just know that it's a movie about people killing other people, and it's fucked up. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and hopefully you guys have a wonderful night. See ya. Bye. Love you. Bye.